Basically, when is an RPG an RPG? So, breaking it down is quite tricky, because a role-playing game is exactly that. A game where you play a role, i.e. somebody other than yourself, which could be any game on the planet, really. It could, it could be a copy of FIFA, although arguing that the newer versions of FIFA, i.e. on this generation, the last generation, possibly the generation before, did have RPG modes, which we will go into later. But yeah, so you need to basically play the role of somebody else or a party that you manage. The second thing that apparently you should have is a series of quests. So you must have goals, periodic goals that you must be working towards. And again, that can be a wide blanket. It can be something from fetch quests, which a lot of them seem to have, to huge encompassing quests, i.e. an end goal that you aim towards. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is skills and abilities. So you're going to start off normally as a fairly weak, relatively to your end game persona. So you'll start off as a fairly weak character, and by investing in skills and abilities, by the end of the game, you should be some sort of hulked up beast. Another popular attribute is that you can shape your character physically. So whether that be by putting different clothing on them, i.e. armor, so on and so forth, donning them with different weapons, or just changing their face, being able to make them look like you, which is a lot of people do. They make themselves in these games, which is bizarre, because again, you're breaking the first rule of the role-playing game there, because you're trying to play yourself, albeit an exaggerated version of yourself. But yeah, you can change their face, their hair colour, their sex, their gender, their height, their clothing. But that is a big, big thing in RPGs. So never mind changing yourself, can you change the world around you? I know that's a big ask, but that is apparently one of the top things to consider during an RPG, i.e. do your actions have consequences? Because there's a lot of games out there that class themselves as RPGs where a lot of the things you do don't mean anything, i.e. you can kill members of a different party and then be accepted by them 10 minutes later, which of course wouldn't happen in real life. And finally, all the battles and quests and fights that you've had, do they lead towards an end goal? Is there a resolution? Technically, you don't need to have a resolution like you do get MMO RPGs, your World of Warcrafts, that sort of thing, where the idea is to just keep on going and there'll be new seasons and it'll just develop and develop. But most RPGs do have an ending. And so with that, you might be going through your list of your favourite RPGs and thinking, oh yeah, these are RPGs. I'm just about to show you how you can class something as an RPG. So I've got 5 games that I think have strong RPG elements, but they're not RPGs technically. I think they are, but feel free to argue with me in the comments. The first one I'm going to bring up is LMA Manager 2007. Now, I did say we'd talk about like FIFA games and the career mode in FIFA games. With that, I think it is a little bit too loose because, again, nothing you do really has any effect on your character. It's just you could lose a game 3-0. It doesn't matter. You still develop as a character, which is pointless. You're not going to, such as in this game, get sacked. If you get sacked and you're out of a club, that's the end of the game. Game over, man. Yeah, that's the equivalent of dying. So, in LMA Manager 2007, I'll go through the rules with you as to why I think this is an RPG. So, LMA Manager 2007, particularly I'm doing the Xbox 360 version. We're going to go through the different rules and I'll explain why this is an RPG. So the first one says you need a central character or party. So the central character would be the manager that you create, and the party would be your football team. So you can select a group of players, literally any players from across the entire world and free agents, and form them into your team or your party. Your second one would be the quests. So for quests, it is a case of you have to win leagues and win trophies, win cups, win tournaments. It depends on how you start the game though. So if you create your own team, you get stuck in the league of your choice. So if you created an English team, you're stuck in the English league. If you create a Spanish team, you're stuck in Spain, that sort of thing. If you start off with a pre-existing team and only create a manager though, you can get hired by any other team. You can get relegated out of leagues and lose your job. So I would definitely say that there's quests there. When it says growing your power and abilities, your manager gets a star rating. So again, you start off with half a star. You're working up towards 5 stars of ability. But not only yourself, but your party, the way you train them, they can grow in power. You can take a player out of the youth team who's not very good at all, say 16 years old, put them in your first team, train them, give them match time until they become an all-conquering player and definitely willing to captain your squad. When it says shape your character, so change his looks and things like that, I showed right at the start of this video quite a comprehensive character building situation. And when it says change your world, like do your actions have consequences? Yes, they do. We've already described you can get promoted, you can get relegated, you can relegate or promote other teams depending on your actions. And the last thing that we've got to tick off the list is a battle or a fight towards an end goal. You've only got 20 years. This game gives you 20 years of gameplay. And within that 20 years, the objective is to win everything within your power as that team manager. So that's my argument for it being an RPG. So that's my LMA Manager 2007 breakdown. Going back to the things about like FIFA or your NBA games, or even to some extent wrestling games, I don't class them as it, especially the new story modes they've got, because with that, they've gone even weirder. They tend to make you play a set character. I'll never forget Spike Lee directed one of the NBA My Player seasons, where no matter who you chose, whether it be me, a 5'5" white Englishman, no, I was a 6'5" black man from the Bronx, which made every single encounter really, really weird when I'm talking to my twin black sister. Completely and utterly bananas. I think, was it WWE 2K20? No, 22 it was. Had 2 different storylines. You had to be a male character and a female character. And it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible because the female character was perfect. Everything she did was amazing. The male character, no matter what you did, you could be smacking hell out of a guy in the ring. You're just supposed to pin him. Gay! Then all of a sudden, you lose the match because that's what the story wants. It wants you to be a loser. So yeah, stuff like that, I don't really consider an RPG. Anyway, that is. Let's move on to my next game, and we'll get even more controversial. So my next game, I think an RPG should be for everybody. You shouldn't really gatekeep people out of the world of RPGs. And the one I'm about to show you, I think it's a kid's game, but it is an ideal first RPG for anybody. Now, obviously, it's a bit dated now, but it's perfect because the system that it's on is pretty much designed for little kids to get playing it. It is The Dog Island for the Wii. I know it's completely bananas. If you've never played it, genuinely, I wouldn't even say it's an RPG light. It's got RPG elements. You create your characters, such as you can be any of the breed of dogs that are on there. You give them a name. It does put you in a set environment. You've got to look after your sick sibling, and you've got to go off on a quest to get certain medicines to make them better. But that's pretty much it. You travel the world trying to help your sister. So we're going to look at it a little bit more in depth, just so I can prove to you that this is an RPG. So, The Dog Island, this is the Wii version that you can see on screen at the moment, courtesy of 10-minute gameplay. I will put their link in the comments. So, you do have a central character. You can create a character from any of the breed of dogs within the game. Of course, you give them a name, but you do start off with a sick sister, and that is what the aim of the game is about. You can see me completing a quest at the moment. so that ticks off the quest bit. It is very much a fetch quest thing for the majority of it, when you have to go around digging for things, trying to find things, and helping people out in the aim for them to help your sister, which is quite cruel, really, isn't it? My sister's dying, I think she's okay. Yeah, well, I've lost my apple. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you do have a series of quests to grow in your power and abilities. Again, it's all a case of learning how to dig, learning how to sniff for things, but also you have races later on that you've got to get good at. When it says shape your character, I said at the start, you can pick your character and give them a new name, but you can pick a character from a series of different dogs, so that's, I would class, sort of as shaping your character. Changing your world, not really, not so much in this game, apart from again, things you do have consequences in that they will further the game, but I suppose that's the same with any game, really. But the final thing, a battle and a fight towards an end goal, is making your sister better, so you can go home and give your sister lots of licks and cuddles, which sounds weird now I say it like that, but yeah, look, oh, there she is, there, your little sister. So, yeah, I would consider this to have an end goal, and again, I would consider it a perfect RPG for kids.
Are you convinced yet? I mean, I'm doubting myself now, but genuinely, it is a fantastic game. I think if you've got a youngster and you've got a Nintendo Wii, best way to get them into RPGs is giving them a game like this, giving them a game like Dog Island. There's plenty of other games out there, of course, but yeah, this is just the first one that popped into my mind, especially because the Wii was quite light on accessible RPG games. But yeah, that's one that I would definitely pick. Now, the third game. So, we've gone for the Xbox 360, we've gone for the Nintendo Wii. Let's scale it back to the PS2. This one, hands down, is an RPG, even though many people say it isn't. It is Way of the Samurai 2, one of the best games I've ever played. And I'm going to break down to you why this hack and slash is an RPG. This is getting tenuous.
So Way of the Samurai 2 for the Sony PlayStation 2 is hands down 100% an RPG. As you can see, you can pick from a set character at the start, and you can give them different clothing. You can change their name, you can select a different weapon, and there's where all the fun things happen. So depending on what clothes they wear and what weapons they own, that changes their abilities, it changes their stats. And of course, you can only get these weapons and clothing from playing the game and earning them. It does take actually multiple playthroughs to get everything you need to be some sort of super overpowered boss. Now, so that's your central character. Your series of quests, it is very much a case of you can do as much or as little as you want. It does affect the ending that you get as well. There's multiple endings in this game. God, I can't even remember how many there was. I'm sure there's like over 5. I think there's about 7. But you've got really, really good endings, really, really bad endings, and it all depends as to not only what quests you do, but how you act as a samurai. So, with all that in mind, you've got your central character, you've got your series of quests. Can you grow in power and abilities? Yes, you can. It might take multiple playthroughs, but you can become that godlike character. You can shape your character's looks. You can change the world around you. As I said, your consequences will basically shape the way the game ends. So to me, that's perfect. And with that, you do have an end goal. I can't really spoil what it is in this because it's not a review, but you do have an end goal. And again, it can be quite a sad ending if you don't do all the things you're meant to do. So Way of the Samurai 2 is 100% an RPG.
See what I mean? That pretty much anything, if you apply these rules to it, can become an RPG. Although this one, I would genuinely say is an RPG, despite other people, mainly people that have great big neck beards and only consider weird, obscure Japanese games as RPGs. They would argue that it isn't. I think it is, and also I think it's a fantastic game, so definitely needs more recognition. The second to last game I'm going to talk about, this one has actually had some debate online as to isn't it an RPG? I think it is. It's Grand Theft Auto 5. This is the Series X version. Obviously, it's on pretty much blooming everything. Let's break down why this, both the single player mode and obviously the online player mode, why they're both RPGs. So all it takes is a quick Google, and I'm not alone in thinking that Grand Theft Auto 5, or a few of these series actually, are RPGs nowadays. So the start of this game, you can't create a character, but you are playing the role of a character. You are playing a certain role, i.e. a criminal, but there's 3 different types of criminal in this game that, again, form a party, bizarrely. You take control of them individually, and sometimes you use them all together for missions. And that's the other thing, missions. So you've got your quests, which all the way through the game, you have to complete the quest before moving on to the next parts, etc., etc. And when I said that you can't create your character, you can dress them. You can dress them up in different clothing, and sometimes that clothing is required to do different missions. And whilst that doesn't really have any effect on your skills and abilities, what does is what you do during the game. So if you drive a lot, your driving skill goes up. If you run a lot, your athletic skill goes up, that sort of thing. Finally, we should push on to the bit that probably doesn't make it an RPG, is that you have no control over the world around you. It's very linear. But then again, there's a lot of RPGs like that where no matter what you do, you don't really have that much consequence. Like you've got to pass to continue with the game. You can't fail a mission and that will make something else happen. You do have to pass the missions one after the other to get to the end of the game. But with that being said, talking about something that's open-ended and no matter what you do, the game will keep going, it brings us to the next section of Grand Theft Auto 5, which is, of course, Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. So this is free. It comes with Grand Theft Auto 5. I think the Red Dead Redemption one, you have to buy it as like separate DLC. But this is actually part of it. It's on the disc. It's absolutely mental as well. It's its own game. Like literally, you don't have to play Grand Theft Auto 5. You can just play the online game, and it's fantastic. It's got so many different bits to it. So many things that tick off the RPG list, such as you create your own character from scratch. Absolutely everything about them you create. And again, depending on what you do within the game, you get more and more skills, more and more, well, not abilities, but whatever you do, the more you do it, the better you get. And also rise in the ranks of being a criminal. You start off with absolutely nothing. You can end up with things like flying bikes and whatnot. It's bizarre. And it is sort of open-ended, but as for things that you can do, well, there's on your own or as part of a team. And with that, again, you can group up with random strangers online. It doesn't have to be people you know, which does make it an MMORPG, the massively multiplayer online role-playing game. You can do things like, as I say, missions that are there. You can run your own company. You can basically like play a game of ticks where someone's chasing you and they've got to like get you and whatever it is that you're transporting. So to me, that definitely classes as an RPG.
Mad, isn't it? So you'd probably looked at a lot of people that play World of Warcraft and gone, what do you do that for? It's pointless. And you're doing exactly the same with this online, developing your character, making a community and having fun with people you've never met before. What a game, what a game. Can't wait for number 6 to come out, by the way. If you're watching this video, number 6 has already come out and it's caused some controversy. Oh God, that number 6 is terrible. Don't play this one either. It just led to that game. And finally, the game that I would hands down say is an RPG, and yet everybody and their dog will tell you that it's not. I don't have a copy of it because it's free at the moment, so I've just downloaded it. But it's on my PC, it's on my Series X, it's on my PS4, and it's not just this one, it's every game that's been in this series. But the one that I'm going to pick is The Sims 4. I know, shoot me.
So, if you've not played The Sims 4, what is your excuse? It is free. It is free to download on any of the consoles that it's available on. So, on your PC, your PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series, completely free. There's loads and loads of download packs for it, I understand, but you don't need those to get some enjoyment out of the game. So, it's quite famous in the Sims series now. You can create everything. You can create your own sort of player character, but you don't just have to play as them. You can flip between different households, and in saying that,
You can build your own house, you can build your own cities, you can do whatever job you want to do. You don't have to have a job. You can be homeless, you can steal from people, you can create stuff and sell it, you can find stuff on the ground. It is absolutely bananas. There are quests per se. There's different things you have to do to progress within the game, but it's more like wants and desires of your character. You have an overarching aspiration that you need to aim towards. That would be, I suppose, your end goal, but the smaller goals that you've got to achieve within that, all of those, getting them gives you points. Those points you can spend on further improving your character, because not only does doing certain things, for example going fishing, give you a fishing skill, but if you do enough of it, you can get something that further aids you within that. So there's a lot of scope for improving your character and creating your character from scratch. Obviously, you can give them different clothing, but not just at the start of the game. During the game, you can keep on redesigning them and refining them. You can put on weight, you can lose weight, you can have children, you can kill people, whether purposefully or accidentally. You can get married, you can get divorced, you can force affairs, you can do anything you want to do within this game. It is absolutely fantastic, and a lot of people do sort of look at this and think of it as a children's game. Trust me, some of the content is definitely not for kids. Specifically, the main one that I would put is death. So the end goal of the game is to achieve your aspiration before you die. But even then, that's not the end of the game, because it just passes on to whoever else is in your household. It doesn't even have to be a child. It could be someone that has moved in with you. It's, oh my word, the game just, as I say, never ever ends, and it is absolutely brilliant.
What's more final than death? Come on. But again, it's not just the death, is it? It is about having a family. So it's that never-ending goal, really. You've got your ultimate goal, but then that leads to the birth, and then that person has an ultimate goal. It's the ultimate RPG game. That's my views. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm pretty much guessing that the comments for this are going to be on fire. I'm hoping they're not. I'm hoping there's a lot of people that will agree with me and say that there is too much gatekeeping in this community. It's so bizarre, the people that will argue what is and isn't an RPG. Those are 5 choices of outsider RPGs. Let me know if you've got anything that you consider to be an RPG that I haven't covered, but that you want to get out there, maybe for a future list, I don't know. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. I've been Donald Mackerel. This has been Donald Mackerel Gaming. See you again soon.